The series Daria is the subject of the most unique and hard to explain relationship that I have with the show. For starters, I didn't grow up watching it as a kid. With the show airing between 1997 and 2002, I was way too young to watch or relate to it at the time. It wasn't until I was deep into college that I actually watched an episode, and my introduction to the series happened in an extremely roundabout and bittersweet way. It all began at the end of a relationship. At the time, my partner and I were drifting apart for a couple reasons. Mine different than hers, but overall, there was a point of disconnect in our relationship. We didn't hate each other, and there wasn't a big event that led us to split, so it made for one of the most unsettling breakups I'd gone through. It's still extremely hard to explain. The feeling is akin to seeing your childhood friend off at the airport. They'll be landing somewhere different to start a new life. The person who was once so close will now forever be at a distance. A couple days after the initial breakup, she sends me a message late at night that says, "If you ever want to know how I feel about you." The message came with a link to a song titled "Weird Around You" by Eerie Summer. I pressed play and was hit with some of the most pertinent lyrics I could receive at that time. It wasn't that the song was overly complicated. In fact, it was really concise, but filled with a million different emotions and even more ways to interpret them. I looked up the lyrics and to my surprise, I found out that the artist behind the song, Eerie Summer, had written it from Daria's point of view and the feelings she had towards Trent, Daria's love interest for a portion of the show. At the time, that led me to binge the show in an attempt to try to understand the emotions my former partner was feeling and try to process the emotions I was feeling. I went in looking for anything, the smallest details. Sounds weird, but going through that process was almost like self-guided debriefing of the relationship. I watched the entire series within a week and got a pretty good interpretation of the relationship between Daria and Trent. So now I'm going to do something different and use the lyrics of the song "Weird Around You" to help deconstruct this relationship. So let's get started. First stanza. So the first two lines of the stanza refer to the relatable feelings of a first crush. Specifically, Daria's first crush on Trent Lane, the older brother of Daria's closest and frankly only friend, Jane. The second portion of the stanza refers to the product of the situation. You could describe Daria as an introverted or antisocial person, often only being shown to enjoy a handful of people's company. But she genuinely cherishes Jane's friendship. Jane is in support of the crush, but possibly altering or even losing Jane's friendship, along with the imagined embarrassment of being rejected by Trent, could be why Daria is reluctant to actually talk to him about her feelings, thus keeping them bottled up. Perfect examples of this can be seen in the episode "That Was Then, This Is Dumb" or "Monster," where you can visibly see the embarrassment and emotions on Daria's face whenever Trent is unexpectedly around. What I found interesting is how supportive Jane can be, yet at the same time so sure nothing will come of Daria's feelings. It feels like she knows both parties so well, and she's predicted how this crush will end, and now acts in a way of support to help her friend through her first crush. It almost feels like she's assisting her through a trial run or a warm-up, constantly pushing her to reach out to Trent and be more forward.
Daria, you and Trent wait here. Jesse and I will find a phone and call for help. Great plan, huh?
Next stanza. For me, this whole stanza is in reference to the on-again, off-again relationship Trent has with his ex-band member Monique, and how Daria perceives it. This can be seen in the episode "Pierce Me," where Daria gets talked into piercing her navel due to being overwhelmed by the attention she gets from Trent. You can see her start to regret agreeing to the idea when Monique comes into the shop and starts reminiscing with Trent, while Trent compliments her, most likely comparing herself to this older woman who seems to know Trent so intimately. These emotions really come to a head in the episode "Lane Miserables." Trent and Jane are staying over at Daria's house until their family issues are sorted out back home. Jane and Daria are hanging out in Daria's room one night when Jane leaves to help Daria's sister Quinn. During that time, Trent comes in and lays down on Daria's bed, and the two have a moment together where they connect, making each other laugh. In the middle of their moment, Jane comes in and Trent asks her for a toothbrush so he can get ready for his date with Monique. Monique arrives and Trent heads out, leaving Daria there disheartened, almost as if she was beginning to get really close with Trent and now someone has taken him away. This is where I can see a mix of emotions coming in. Missing him as a parent, but regret is also present. Regret for not speaking up, for not expressing yourself more, for not taking advantage of the individual moments that presented themselves. She tries to cope by imagining a future with Trent, where he's nothing more than a failed artist mooching off of her success in life. But the next morning, that tune changes when Trent announces that him and Monique broke up. He even goes as far as to make a joke. Looking back at it, it does kind of give that creep vibe, so.
Too bad you're not a few years older, huh? I could take you out. See ya.
Which sends Daria right back head over heels for him. Next stanza. This stanza is easily my favorite. It's a perfect way to wrap up the overarching dynamic of Daria and Trent, and when I contextualized it for my relationship, it was ultimately the strongest message I took away. It's a description of how oblivious someone can be in a relationship, or even maybe more broadly, just non-compliant. In relation to Daria, Trent seems to never directly acknowledge Daria's feelings towards him. This could just be him being oblivious to her change in behavior when he's around, and the inability to pick up small cues like her blushing or shyness during their early conversations. But that feels like a cop-out. We see in the episode Die Die My Darling, after Jane breaks up with her boyfriend who kissed Daria, which is a whole other video entirely, Trent expertly navigates the complexities of the situation.
Yo.
Hey.
What you doing?
Walking.
Hair looks fine.
Thanks.
Lift.
He supports his sister in the time and speaks with an emotional intelligence that seems to have never translated to general intelligence, but that's not really the point. He's very aware of emotional connections and truly cares for the people in his life. It's more likely that he's non-compliant for a multiple of reasons. Trent is a gigantic slacker who doesn't comply with the idea of being a functioning member of society. Doing things like treating time as just a concept that can be ignored, not having a job, and procrastinating on his life's goal of being an accomplished musician. So it is very likely that he does pick up on the hints from Daria, but generally disregards them. On top of all of that, Trent is in his early 20s, while Daria is only 18 by the end of the series. It is very likely that he could have saw the issues with an age gap of that size and at that age and refrained from getting involved. Either way, there is a scene from the episode Jane's Edition that captures the feelings of this stanza very well. Trent procrastinated on creating a song for Daria's school assignment, ultimately missing the deadline. He takes her out for pizza as an apology, then,
I guess it wasn't such a great idea for us to get together on this.
No, I guess there was no way it could have worked out.
Sorry again about, everything.
That's okay.
All right then, Daria. See you around.
See ya.
The way Daria speaks through the conversation tells me she's getting dual meaning from it. Trent may be talking straight, but in this situation, Daria is able to take the dialogue and use it as an outro to her crush on him. Seeing the issues that are present in Trent not having his life together, and being able to see that that's not what she wants in a partner, thus marking the end of her crush on Trent, and the beginning of her feelings for Tom, her best friend's boyfriend. The line in the song, "I'd rather sit and stare at the water with you," has such strong imagery. It's the summation of all the moments Daria has spent with Trent, every laugh, shared idea, or thought. Looking back on moments like them being stranded on the side of the road or hanging out in her room together now seem like cherished memories. Crushes come and go, and in high school it's not uncommon for someone to find interest in an older person. But I do want to state that it is unacceptable the other way around. And because of that, the show took this concept and handled it with a lot of dignity and even more reality. They didn't make Trent a scumbag by having him move towards Daria, and they didn't allow the relationship to actually form. They were able to outline a realistic situation without it going into a weird and all too common direction. Thanks to Kevin Duquette from Top Shelf Records for giving me permission to use this song. And thanks to Eerie Summer for creating it. Definitely go check out the whole song, and if you made it this far, take the time to drop a like and subscribe. Your support helps the channel grow and keeps you up to date on my videos. And it makes me happy. See ya.